So yeah, it's pretty ear shattering. Hey everybody, it's Outland. Today I want to talk to you about something that's on the top of everybody's mind, which is camp security. And whether it's personal security or security of your gear, your own personal safety, things like that. It's a big topic, and actually I just read a thread on the Hammock forums this morning about that. People asking, what do you do when you're hammock camping for safety? How do you scare away animals? Do you carry a knife? Do you carry a gun? Pepper spray? What do you do? And I was sitting there thinking about that. I've been thinking about this a lot. And, you know, for me personally, I think I don't carry a gun. I don't feel safe, secure doing it. I usually carry a knife, but I would never really consider using that knife as a method of protection or deterrence, unless it was a really extreme situation. Then I might do something like that. But I have two scenarios today where you might want to use the device that I'm going to show you here in a minute. Or it might be a really good use of this particular device in a camping situation. So the first story is my buddy Joe and I, a few years back, we went backpacking in Big South Fork in Tennessee, Kentucky area. And we decided we were going to front country camp the first night and backpack in the second night. So the first night we found a spot, which was a campground, which was a front country campground. And it was in the middle of nowhere. It was super primitive, no running anything. I don't think it even had a restroom. Maybe it had a restroom, but I don't really remember. But you had to go out of your way to get to this spot. And so that's why we liked it. And we were like, okay, we'll camp here because it's just like being in the backcountry, basically, though it was, accessible by a road. So we decided to hammock camp there that night. And we were going to backpack out the next morning once we hit the trail. So we had a great night there, quiet, and didn't see a person, not a peep from anyone. It was really, really nice. It was the middle of November, so it was kind of cold. And about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was laying in my hammock, and I was awoken by these really super bright headlights, and I could hear this engine, like this truck, and I knew it was like a truck with like extended lights. I had like LED lights on the front. It had all kinds of like hunting lights or something on the front of it. It was bright. It was super bright, and it was shining right into my hammock. So that means this truck was right next to our site. I mean, it was right there, and they had this music blaring. This country music was blasting, and it was, I could hear, multiple guys inside this truck, and I was like, oh crap. We're going to have a problem. We've got some drunk guys up here going to mess with us, because you had to go out of your way to get to this spot. And I was just like, oh man, what are we going to do if these guys start messing with us, So I'm laying there in my hammock wondering what the heck is going to happen here. What am I going to have to do? Joe is sleeping through this whole entire thing. I can hear him snoring. I'm sitting here, don't want to open the hammock because I'm just not sure what's going to happen. So I just kind of lay there, my eyes open, wonder what's going to happen. Well, fortunately, these guys turned all their lights off, turned their music down, must have seen all our stuff there, and they were like, oh, okay, we're not going to mess with anybody. So then they backed the truck out. I heard them back away and pull off and leave, and they were gone. Didn't mess with us the rest of the night, but it was like, oh my gosh. The reality is you just never know what's going to happen. Somebody could try to mess with you or be perfectly fine and leave you alone. But here's the other flip of that story. That same morning, about 6 o'clock that morning, I was laying in my hammock, sleeping really well, trying to get some more rest before we hiked. And I could hear a pack of coyotes run through our campsite, literally maybe 50 yards from where I was sleeping. I heard them yipping and howling, and I could hear the hit of their paws on the ground, and there was multiple ones. There was probably at least 6 or 7 of these things, and running through and yipping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a pack of coyotes right here. They're right next to us. Freaked me out a little bit. I was like, this location was pretty far out there, it was kind of in the middle of nowhere, like I said, and There were obviously animals there. There were bear warning signs all over the place, and obviously there were coyotes there, and there were still people there. So that was kind of a crazy trip, and I didn't really talk about it in the video because I didn't want to sound alarmist or sound like I was a scaredy cat or whatever. I just didn't want to go there at the time in the video, but I knew at a later time I wanted to talk about that experience, and I thought this would be a good video to bring that up. So the second occurrence was more recently. This past September, I went with my buddy Rob, and we went to Red River Gorge, again in Kentucky, and we decided to go to Hanson's Point. And this particular case was, if you've ever been to Hanson's Point, you know that it's an out and back type of hike. You can hike up to the top of this ridge, but it's really hard to get to, and you have to go over a bunch of down trees and through a bunch of foliage and rocks, and it's a very technical hike kind of to get up there. You can't run through it. You can't trail run it by any means. And then to get out to the point from past the campsites, you typically have to go further out, a quarter mile or so, to get to the actual point, and where you get the vista. That's the view, the 180-degree view of the canyon. So Rob and I, we set up our hammocks. We set up our camp. We decided to camp right on the ridge there. I'll post a link of that video if you haven't seen it, because it was a really fun trip. But it was a beautiful location. But basically, anyone trying to get to Hanson's Point would have to go right past our campsite to get there, which means they would walk literally a few feet from all our gear and all our stuff that was there, very expensive equipment that we had out there. We set up camp, and we, decided to just leave our stuff there. We were just gonna, and then go off exploring and hike down to the point. But as I got out to that point, I thought about, I just left all my stuff there, all my expensive gear, and my keys to my brand new Jeep were in my pack. They weren't on my person. I didn't take them with me. The only thing I had on me was my phone, and I think maybe my wallet was in my pocket. I don't even know if I had my wallet. It may have been in my pack as well. And I was sitting here thinking, I was like, if somebody came along who was really dishonest, they could take all my stuff, be gone. They could go down, find my keys at the trailhead, press the button, find where my Jeep was, unlock it, and be gone. They'd be gone because it's a keyless entry style Jeep, so you don't even have to turn the ignition. You just have the key on you. So they'd steal it. Nobody would never be able to find it. It would be gone, along with all my expensive gear. So I thought about that, and I was like, wow. So I ended up doing a search for some videos on how to kind of protect your gear, because you tend to do that a lot, especially in the summer, right? You set up your campsite, and you may leave your gear and everything set up, and then you have maybe a smaller pack, and you want to go explore. You want to go hike, do some day hikes, and go see some stuff without that big heavy pack on your back. But how do you protect that stuff, especially when you're in the middle of nowhere, you're in the backcountry? How do you protect your gear? How do you keep people from messing with it, or even animals? I thought about that as well. All my food was still in my pack. I hadn't hung a bear bag or anything to do that little excursion out to the point. Animals could have smelled that, got in my pack, destroyed my gear, shredded my stuff. I really dodged a bullet with that. And I was like, there's got to be a way to, deter these people and animals from messing with your stuff. So like I said, I Googled it, I did a YouTube search, and I found this really great video from this guy, and I will post a link to that, where he showed this device that I'm going to show you. It's called the sound grenade, and the company is called Robocopp. Robocopp with 2 P's, okay? And this is called the sound grenade. And what this is a electronic device. It's a personal security alarm. And it comes with this piece here. It comes with a carabiner. And once you pull this pin, it releases a 120 decibel alarm that is just ear-piercing. It is excruciating. And it hurts. It hurts to hear. So what this particular individual did is he took this sound grenade and he set up a little tripwire type system on his pack. So this was kind of hidden out of the sight, and he tied some cordage through the pin and had this secured in a way that if his pack was disturbed in any sort of way, it would pull the pin on this little grenade and set off this alarm, and let off this excruciating sound. So yeah, it's pretty ear shattering. It's not, I think it's something that's it would scare me. It would especially scare me as a human. I can't imagine what an animal would think of this. I probably just completely freaked my dogs out. But I had the door closed. Hopefully they didn't go flying off the thing. But it hurts your ear. I mean, to be up on it hurts your ears. And I know that someone who wasn't expecting this would be completely freaked out. And I don't know, if I was a thief and this thing went off, I'd run. I'd be gone. So I ended up, I was like, wow, that tripwire system is amazing. It's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. So I decided to pick up a couple of these, and I started researching them, and they're really, really cheap. I got this off Amazon for like $5.99. These things are amazing. So I actually bought one for my wife as well. She does a lot of solo running and walking around the neighborhood, so I thought this would be a great thing for her. I got her a purple one. She can hang this around her neck, quickly, very quickly, just pull it if she needs to. If anybody starts messing with her, it's going to be a great deterrent, for that reason. I think there's quite a few reviews of these online. I know Living Survival talked about this pretty extensively, but there's lots of different applications for this. So personal security alarm. So here's the packaging, and it says 120 decibel alarm, and it was featured on NBC. It's a great crime deterrent, animal deterrent, or if you need help. That's another way. It's a great SOS alarm. If you're stuck out somewhere, you've broken your leg while hiking, pull the pin on this thing. Yeah, it's going to hurt your ears, but it might just save your life. You never know if somebody hears this thing going off. But it's super lightweight. It weighs almost nothing. Like I said, it comes with this nice carabiner there. And it just runs on a couple coin batteries. I don't know if there's any particular way to disassemble this and replace the batteries. I haven't seen anything in the instructions on how to do that, but for the cheap price that it is, you can buy a couple of them or buy a new one and replace it if you need to. But and it actually says that on the packaging here. It says replace every year and test it every time you go out. So I would definitely advise with that to be sure and test it. But setting up that tripwire system, hanging this thing on your hammock ridgeline, I think it's a great alternative to trying to use a knife or a gun or something. Let's face it, we're not Daniel Boone, most of us, okay? I'm not going to try to use a gun or a knife and kill a coyote or a bear, stab a coyote in the heart if something's attacking me. I'm not going to be able to do that, okay? So I'm probably going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's just me, Maybe you out there are like, I'm perfectly comfortable with my firearm, and I'm going to use it if I have to. That's great. More power to you there. But for me, I could hang this on my ridgeline, and if something starts messing with me in the middle of the night, I'm going to pull this thing and hopefully deter it. And if it's an animal, I think an animal's gonna take off. I think a pack of animals, coyotes, maybe not a mountain lion. I don't know. But I think, or maybe not a grizzly, but I think 95% of most animals are gonna hightail it when they hear this thing because it hurts. It hurts your ears. It hurts your head. So even just them not even being so scared of it, is just annoyed by it. So they're gonna just get away from it. So for the price and the weight of it, I think it's a great option for personal security, and it's a pretty cool little device. They got tons of different designs. They've got all different colors. I got the $5.99, this red one and purple for my wife, but you can spend a little bit more and get like a USA style American flag. You can get a camo version. There's all different versions on their site, so just check it out, and it's a pretty cool option. But again, it's the sound grenade by the company Robocopp with 2 P's. And it's a pretty cool little item for personal security, on the trail, off the trail, whether you're, walking the streets somewhere, maybe you're just taking a walk at night and you just would like that extra sense of peace of mind. Now, if you're in the middle of the city, like New York City or somewhere, this may not draw as much attention because you hear alarms going off all the time, and people might just be like, oh, another alarm, but you never know. But take it with you anyway, because I think it's going to draw some kind of attention. If somebody hears this thing, that's just me. But definitely out in the backcountry, in the woods, when someone or an animal hears this thing go off, it's going to be attention grabbing for sure. So it's a great price. It's a great item. I think it's well worth the purchase. And I'm going to be taking it with me here on a couple trips this summer and see how it works. I'm going to set up that perimeter tripwire configuration and see how it goes. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you real soon.